Okay, so a recent event has occurred because Charlamagne Tha God's accuser, Jessica Reid, who accused him of rape, has decided to take her case to the Supreme Court. So, after having her previous request for the case to be open be rejected, she decided that she was going to go to a higher power. And according to the blast, she's directing her efforts to the South Carolina Supreme Court's Disciplinary Council, accusing the prosecution of improperly handling the criminal case. She wrote that she was uncooperative at the time of the investigation because of being traumatized, and claims it was the prosecutor's responsibility to defend her. And she wants to file an official claim against the prosecution for allowing Charlemagne to cut a plea deal and to dismiss the charge of criminal sexual conduct with a minor. She says that there was no investigation done to bring justice, and claims that Charlemagne continues to violate me on the radio, in his books, and on social media. It also appears, based off of the article, that she is requesting DNA samples that Charlemagne provided for his blood work in the investigation in 2001, stating that her family was never informed of the results of the blood work and that the information from the samples could help her case. Now, that last statement right there is exactly why people should do more research and think critically before they rush to accusations or believe other articles where they get information from, because misinformation can be spreaded so easily. People believe that just because Charlemagne's lawyer said it, that his DNA was tested and it proved that he was innocent, that made it a fact. But here she's saying that she never got the results from the DNA test and she's trying to get them now. So clearly there's some type of discrepancy between what the lawyer is stating and what the family of Jessica Reid is trying to say. So that's up to your interpretation, but I've called it before. Okay, so now Charlemagne has responded to 2 public incidents that have caused controversy in his life, including one incident where he went on to his Brilliant Idiots podcast and stated that he put Spanish fly into a girl's drink and they had intercourse. And in another incident, the first time that he had intercourse with his wife, he said that she was heavily intoxicated at the time, and he jokingly referred to it as rape. So hear his reply right now.
How is everybody on this beautiful Monday morning? You know, I have been sitting back watching everything that has been said about me via social media. It's very interesting. And I could tell who really follows me, listens to me, because I think people who are really in tune with what it is I do realize that I have grown a lot. The reason I will never stop evolving is because the best apology is always change behavior. And every day I strive to grow and learn more and make the world a better place just by being the change I want to see in the world. One of the main changes that I do want is I want the world to be a safer place for all women. If you listen to the Brilliant Idiots podcast, and you know I was moving towards this before there was a Time's Up or Me Too movement. That's why y'all call me PC to God now. Y'all say things like, women got Charlemagne shook. For me, it's simple. When you know better, you do better, and you teach better. And that's what I have attempted to do horribly on this podcast. I posted this today because I want to address some clips that have been floating around from the podcast, as well as Vlad TV, where I failed to have productive, mature conversations around issues that demand respect. I tell y'all all the time, I'm not an expert at anything. I just have some experiences, so I try to share my experiences. So I started to go see a therapist. That's one experience I've been sharing. And back in 2015, I attempted to have a dialogue about rape culture with an emphasis on the role men play. And a clip was pulled from that conversation. And I can honestly say I communicated that all wrong. I totally understand why y'all on my ass, and you have every right to be. I didn't handle that conversation in the right way. And I was looking at some comments last night of rape survivors who were triggered by that conversation. And I have to apologize to y'all because that was not my intentions with that conversation. And I don't think those kind of conversations should happen in this space, even though I have always been an open book and I strive to use my life as an example for others. But I didn't get it right with this one, and I have to apologize for that. But for the record, in 1997, I was having consensual sex with a young lady after we went to the sex store, keyword we, and got Spanish fly, which is an aphrodisiac, not a drug. You know, it's supposed to increase libido and create a super sexual experience. We were both aware that we were going to put this in a bottle of brandy. That's why we got the cola flavor. But I didn't explain that situation well at all back in 2015, because the way social media took it was that I was confessing to drugging and having sex with an incoherent woman. That wasn't the case. Because once again, Spanish Fly is not a drug. It's sold in the sex store. It's sold in drug stores. It comes in flavors. You know, we got some and had consensual sex. Then we both passed out because we were both wasted. Okay, that's what I was attempting to convey, how two condoning parties were under the influence of alcohol. We was wasted. The point of that whole conversation, you know, was discussing situations that seemed so normal to us back then. But now, in light of the conversation, you know, centered around rape culture, they are extremely sketchy to us now. And my attempt is to always create a space where a grown man who has learned from his mistakes can speak on those sketchy situations. You know, I want people to learn from my ways. And I have told people on this podcast numerous times to avoid any gray areas, okay? Don't have sex with a woman when she is extremely high, drunk, on pills, whatever. If she is incoherent in any way, leave her alone. And I want to stress that, okay? I didn't take advantage of anyone. And I want to apologize to anyone who was triggered by that story. You know, I have women really close to me who have been drugged and sexually assaulted, so that's not an issue I would ever make light of or play with. You know, I don't have any problem apologizing when I'm wrong. And the way I communicated that story in that clip was dead ass wrong. So, again, I apologize. I also want to talk about the Vlad TV clip. You know, that video was from 2013. I'm discussing hitting a woman when I was 16 years old. Okay, young with a fragile ego, filled with insecurities. There was no legitimate reason to take and never those conversations be an abusive issue. And I got to see two in time. So once again, I apologize, and we will women, you know, creating space for victim issues. I have 2 daughters. More from me over the coming. I think that I have found a way to have those conversations about, be a positive part of that conversation, those conversations, but a lot of them. And clearly, I'm not afraid to discuss things. Once again, I'm using my life experiences to teach. Okay, learn from my mistakes, because I've made a lot of them when I did it. And once again, in that Vlad TV clip, I might have been 35. Apologize. I also want to talk about the Vlad TV clip. You know, that video was from 2013. I'm discussing hitting a woman when I was 16 years old. Okay, young with a fragile ego, filled with insecurities. There was no legitimate reason for me to do what I did, but I did it. I immediately regretted it, and I knew it was wrong. In that Vlad TV interview, I said I made a mistake, but I also made a mistake by generalizing that all men have put their hands on a woman at some point. I'm not going to speak for everyone else. I'm only going to speak for myself. That was my unique experience, and I shared that story because I don't want young men or men in general to make the same mistakes I made, regardless of what age they were. You know, we also have had several podcast discussions in regards to hitting women. Remember the elevators? You know, God gave us 2 moments to learn from that week of the elevators. It was Ray Rice in the elevator and Jay-Z in the elevator. What have I always said? Always go Jay-Z. Okay, I don't condone putting your hands on a woman. And let's be clear, I'm 40 years old. In that Vlad TV clip, I might have been 35, discussing something that I did at 16. And being 16 is not an excuse. It's never okay to put your hands on a woman, and I knew it was a mistake when I did it, and once again, I said that in the Vlad TV clip. It was a mistake, and I'll continue to say it was a mistake because, once again, I'm using my life experiences to teach, okay? Learn from my mistakes because I've made a lot of them, and clearly I'm not afraid to discuss them, but I'm pretty sure I do a better job discussing them now than I did a few years ago, and I will continue to have those conversations, but the right way, because I feel like we won't be able to grow as a society and culture if we don't have these discussions. And personally, I want to be a positive part of that conversation, but I haven't been. And for that, I apologize. But I think that I have found a way to have those conversations about rape culture and abuse of power and men creating toxic environments for women to be harmed. And you will hear more from me over the coming week and really for the rest of my life on those issues. I have 2 daughters. 1 on the way, a beautiful wife. You know, my future is female, regardless, okay? And I got a slew of homegirls who require me to do and be better. So I'm just grateful for the women, you know, creating space for victims and survivors through the Me Too and Time's Up movement, and just women in general, period. And I look forward to using my platform more responsibly to bring healing to victims and to just being a better ally. So once again, I apologize, and we will talk again later this week. And always remember that making mistakes is better than faking perfections. Peace.
Let me call her. Hold on.
Mook,
Yeah.
do you feel like discussing this headline? You know, I've never called you to have you on the radio. The last time you've been on the radio was 1999 at Z93 Jams in Charleston, South Carolina, New Year's Eve. We kissed on the radio.
Wow.
You remember that?
Yeah, I do.
Okay. So talk to the people, baby. Did I rape you the first time we had sex with each other?
Leonard, you need to learn how to
First of all, only Monique calls me Lenard. I'm just playing. Go ahead.
No, I call you Leonard. Forget that. You need to learn how to tell stories. You shouldn't have used the word rape, first of all, because the conversation that we were having is about rape culture. So the conversation that we were having was that you felt like it was okay for you to have sex with me while I was intoxicated. That's a rape culture thing. That's not rape. So when you asked me that question, I was hesitant to answer you because you used the word rape. But, I mean, that's not what went down. Like, we both know what happened. And I was not passed out. I was very coherent. Like, enough for me to lift up my hips so you could take my panties off. So
Knock it off. Go. Whoa. Jesus Christ.
I'm sorry. Like, that's what happened. You know this happened. And the next morning, we had sex. So,
We had sex the next morning?
Yes, that's what I'm saying. Your memory is for you don't remember anything. And we first kissed that night, too.
That was our first kiss that night.
Wow, you guys dated for a year? That was your first kiss?
She made me wait for a year.
Yes.
You couldn't even she didn't like you really at first.
What are you talking about? We used to go on dates all the time.
And y'all never kissed for a year?
She's a good woman, okay? All right.
Angela, are you questioning me? Like, what's up?
No, I'm just saying a year. For a kiss?
Yes, for a kiss.
I know this might be inappropriate.
Okay, well, don't ask it then.
Was he good? Was he at least good?
Yeah, have a good morning, baby.
Now, while both responses do seem like they came from a good place, and it is good that he replied to both accusations, I do have a few issues with what he stated. Okay, so considering the fact that we don't have an account from the girl that allegedly took the Spanish fly, I have to be skeptical of Charlamagne's account, because in his previous story that he gave to DJ Academics about the accusations that were being made against him, he gave a completely different account from the one in the police report. So it makes it hard for me to believe anything that he's saying after that. Not only that, when he went to his job at the Breakfast Club and he brought his wife on the phone to speak about the incident, the atmosphere seemed off, considering the fact that this is a taboo and incredibly sensitive topic to talk about. And as an example, you have Angela Yee braiding her hair and DJ Envy making jokes of his wife's alleged rape. Really goes to show you that they're not taking these accusations seriously. And the fact that he's been accused of assault for 3 different times on 3 different occasions, it really just hurts at least my perception of him as a person and my ability to believe that he's not capable of doing such actions. Now, as far as her going to the Supreme Court, we'll have to see just how far this story goes. I'll post any major updates to the story after we get more information. Thank you guys for watching. I'm Jizzle96. I'm out.